What's going on, everyone? My name's Tenebris Infinite, and I'm not even gonna hide it here. I mean, it's pretty obvious. I friggin' love the team behind Generation Zero. They have earned my respect to the moon and back over the years here, but beyond that, lately, we've been able to get to meet the people behind the game that we play. And every dev stream is such a dang pleasure, from getting their perspective on the game, which I think is so fundamental to understanding Generation Zero as a whole, getting to learn what it's like to develop a game like this, all of the spicy bits, and the wholesomeness. Dudes, like, these streams can be a absolute wholesome overload. So today, we're gonna break down another one of these developer live streams, talking about inside looks on the game's narrative, as well as the new missions we've seen since the base assault update, and even a bit of an inside look on the Matryoshka reports, a side of the plot that I personally really cannot wait to see expanded. So sit back, enjoy the video, and let's get into this dev stream, my dudes. First up, we got our introductions and a bit of an explanation on why we aren't seeing dev streams on YouTube lately.
Hi everyone, Tenebris and everyone.
Yes, Pancake, we got Tenebris here, we got a lot of people, and for some reason, YouTube is not working, everyone. So if you got a friend who's on YouTube and like, hey, what the hell? What's going on? Just tell them to scoot over to here to Twitch or over to Steam. Do a quick introduction.
Yeah, sure. I am Amanda. I'm a mission designer on Generation Zero. I joined the stream like a year ago or so as well, and then I was a world designer. So now I have a slightly switched role, still within the design though. So before I made locations and stuff, and then the last year I've been making missions. So I made the mission that introduces the lynx and the wolf, for example.
Interesting. And then, of course, we got Mr. Gregory here.
Yeah. Hi everyone, welcome back, welcome me back, I guess. It's really good to be back on here. Some of you may remember I was on the stream 2-3 times, up to 2 years ago. So I was on the project for a long time until last year, until 2020. And now I'm back on this project, and I've been doing some more narrative work with Amanda and lots of other people. So my title, I'm narrative designer and writer. So
yay for narrative!
Yeah, yay for narrative. So what it is that the obvious thing would be write the dialogue lines. That's the most visible aspect of the work, but that's like the final 5%. But then the goal is to integrate story elements and characters and emotions into our gameplay. So it's not that I want to tell a story, but we have a player experience that we want it to be awesome, and then we try to integrate the narrative elements to the gameplay, to the world. So it's somewhere between game design and writing. And then I'm in charge of all the voiceovers, so directing the actors to record the dialogue, casting, going into the studio and working with to get the actual audio recorded.
Wow, that's quite a lot actually.
Greg is an MVP, dude. This guy pulls a lot of weight for Generation Zero, and Amanda's shift to mission design explains a lot of why we're seeing expansions to our missions here, from the new Soviet missions to revamped intro missions and a heck of a lot of stuff in between that. These two are longtime homies, and for me as a day one player, it's really great to catch up with them again.
So from that I start on a design document, and then I write down the mission flow. So it can be yeah, okay, the mission starts. How does the mission start? Does it start by entering a region, or do you find something, etc. And then what's the first objective? And then I write that down and think about different things that could be cool and interesting, and what kind of objectives you would want, and what kind of cool locations could be linked to those objectives, to kind of try to create the experience that we want. And so then when I have had that document reviewed and stuff, I start implementing it, doing scripting and technical stuff, and then just iterating, getting feedback, trying it out, trying to get everything to work, trying to come up with better ideas than the first ones, etc.
If I can jump in, one thing I find fascinating about mission designers, and you, Amanda, in particular, is it's a mix of technical and design and creative. In particular, Amanda has a great eye for narrative as well, so it's always trying to mesh all of these things together. Yeah, it's been great that we cooperated together on these set of missions. And it was great to have someone that could give me feedback or have other opinions on the characters in the story. So we was very much teamwork between us, plus more, like Dan and more people.
It's crazy, dude! Amanda is playing 4D chess and making this mission design. For those that might not know, Amanda has introduced some of the most interesting set pieces back in her days as a world designer, adding in the Apple murder scenes, and all of the craziness behind that. One of the funnest things to speculate on since the Iron Church.
This is probably the point where I should say that Pontus forced me into naming.
Yes.
Not how it happened.
I did not.
No, you didn't.
I'm very flattered, but I really gotta say it's amazing.
Is Pontus's NPC from the game designed by us? Yes. Essentially, we started our mandate from our leads where we will need to add NPCs to the intro missions and to the existing missions and story. So we had ideas of which purpose they should fulfill. And then we started brainstorming, Amanda, me, Dan, more, to come up with outlines for characters. So we started with, I don't remember who named Pontus, may have been me, but we start usually from our own characters, character outlines of this.
Yeah, and I remember I was eager to have Therese be a teenager, since like the player is a teenager.
Yeah.
So it's also great to have another teenager to kind of reflect on, that perspective and how that might be to be a teenager in
that
this
was
world.
our idea, and then it helped solve a lot of things in echoing the player's first impressions as new players, at least. So that started this way.
Yeah.
Poor Bono was getting dummied by the machines there, but we got some really interesting stuff out of this intro candid question. From Pontus's in-game character name origin, to Teresa's origin as a teen like our character, to the addition of NPCs being a call from the higher-ups here for Generation Zero, probably after a ton of creative deliberation.
There we go. Thanks. I'm alive. I'm well. I'm in this beautiful church.
Good for you.
Yes, I'm gonna stand here.
Tenebris, yeah, I agree with you. And obviously when we released the base game, we were limited in budget and what we could do and scope. So that's why we went for the more like found footage approach. You found the notes, you find the answering machine messages and stuff. But there was lots of things we could not explore. And then we got into that a bit with the two expansions, the story expansions. But there's lots of things we had to leave unsaid or to the player's imagination, and some of you guys did amazing videos of theories and stuff of what the story could mean, but there were things we never could explore as much as we wanted. So this was a chance to bring back a bit to the forefront without changing so much, but just more clarifying and expanding and making it highlighting. I think it's a good way to describe it.
So after a little bit of banter, we got to a pretty crazy revelation, for me at least here, and that's that Amanda wrote Bolshakov, one of the craziest characters to come to Generation Zero, and one of my personal favorites. And he's her brainchild, dude, freaking wild.
Are your favorites? Amanda, which is your favorite character in GC?
I like people who are have a bit of crazy to them or are quirky. So I would go with Kalle, I think. I just like his perspective on things and also his passion. But also for Kalle and the DLCs were made before I joined the team. So of characters I've been involved with, I also very much like Bolshakov from the Matryoshka Tatiana storyline. Bolshakov was really fun to write. His remorse around his actions.
Yes, maybe we should tell everyone that it's. I think it's mostly you who wrote all of that, right? These
Yeah.
letters and that, which is very impressive.
Yeah, I worked on them together with Laura Buse, with the cat, who's been here as well. But I was the one who wrote all the text for the Matryoshka dolls and for the newsletter that was in Östervik before that, and the message in a bottle.
Yeah, that was Amanda Tenebris.
Mental, man. I've loved all of it so far.
I think, like now, most recently I have Therese, who I really like, because she's or we try to make her what would be a realistic reaction to being a person in this world, not just a player enjoying the thrill and having fun, but how would an actual person react to this thing, these crazy stuff happening, and people disappearing and missions to murder you and stuff. So she feels relatable in that way. That's the way I would react for sure.
And being dramatic, as
someone said a dramatic.
yes, on Wired's video.
Yeah, but it makes sense. I mean, it makes sense in that inside that world. If you don't know it's a game, then you would have big reactions to it. I guess.
I think
I also like dramatic teenagers.
Well, she holds it together really good for an 80.
Yeah.
I would be crying on the floor somewhere, pretty much.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you can assume that that's exactly what she did until you found her. Question: will Elsa and Veronica ever meet each other? I share that question and that want as well. I very much hope so.
We can
it depends
hope.
on what features we can work on, but know that it's on our radar as well for sure. That this is not something. If I'd love to be able to find a way to resolve this in a good way.
Man, I'd like to see that too. Elsa and Veronica are like one of the most ill-begotten love stories in a video game, separated by DLCs and technical ramifications.
Anyway, talking about all of that, if you could change anything with the story or the game or a mission or anything, what would that be? You don't have to change anything. It's all perfect, you know. So, but if you could and wanted to.
Interesting. I need to think a bit. Do you have something already?
I mean, one thing it's hard because like I think that the story is very nice how it is. The thing that is hard, like it gets like especially before there were NPCs, you kind of had the feeling of like going continuously searching for other people and never finding anyone.
Yeah.
So if I were to learn anything from that, it would be to like not try to give the expectation of other people being in the world if you're not going to deliver on more NPCs and stuff.
I think that that's a really good thing to want to change in Generation Zero, and we can even see that reflected in the New Dawn update. That constantly goading the player along to NPCs that will never show up leaves the player expecting the typical no one's there answer in pretty much all scenarios outside of the DLC.
Yeah, and if I was to change something, I would probably do something about the whole Phoenix von Ulmer thing. To not change the backstory, but change the way we address it or spend more time with it.
Yeah, make it more clear and give it more place.
To be fair, I tried that on the 2 story expansions to clarify who Phoenix is and who von Ulmer is and all of these things, and that they're 2 different entities in a way. Yeah.
Dudes, I've been telling you all along, Von Ulmer did nothing wrong. That's one of my biggest theories here, is that Phoenix is more like an alteration of Von Ulmer than Von Boyo himself. And it's a theory that I'm gonna hold on to until proven wrong.
And with the revamped tutorial missions, the question is, alright, are we gonna see further mission revamps? And I think that we most probably will see that in Dominus.
Yes, we could say that.
We were allowed to talk about it. Yes,
but yeah, where I think the team is looking into other missions that to maybe tweak or change or redo or whatnot.
And this is actually really huge. This tells us what is going to be going on for the rest of 2022 here, and probably looking into maybe 2023 or the year after that even. And this is going to essentially take up the role of the region facelifts, I believe personally, as we see these region facelifts wrap up. We don't have too many of them realistically in front of us, but there's still more to be done here in Generation Zero, and it seems like the main quest line is the next thing that we're going to see addressed. Now, this was such a meaty talk with a lot of detail, but I'm really breaking it down here, so we didn't even get to half of the total questions. Greg mentioned a return of him and Amanda, and personally, I'd love to see it. These dev streams are the kind of stuff I've been missing in Generation Zero with its community interaction lately, I think. So if we see a part 2, you could be sure that I'll be giving a highlights video just like this one. But speaking of meaty, the most important question to be asked. The food question.
What we like for fika.
Yeah, what do you like for fika, Amanda? What's
Wienerbröd.
wienerbröd, all right.
Yep.
And for everyone who doesn't know what wienerbröd is a Danish, I think it's called, when you're outside of Sweden. Very, very tasty thing.
I never eat them, but I always dream of them.
Really? That's
Yep.
all right, but okay.
So, like, when I got that question and I thought about it, I was like, yeah, it's wienerbröd. And then I was like, why do I never eat this if this was what first came to mind? So
If
it
it's
was,
okay.
it made me like some self-discovery.
Yeah,
Gonna eat some more.
I'm gonna say it's very weird to have a favorite fika that you don't eat.
Yep.
All right. What's the favorite fika that you actually eat then?
Maybe chokladbiskvi.
Ooh,
Chocolate.
very nice.
Biscuit. But it's not
Not
really biscuit.
biscuits. No, like a macaron, maybe.
It's a hard macaron. It's fine in a way.
Yeah. Anyway, Google chokladbiskvi, and if you're lucky, you manage to spell it right, then you will see it.
I was gonna say, like, this sounds too random.
What about you, Greg? Is it gonna be some nice little petite French thing, or is it gonna be?
Macaron.
It would probably have to be the pain au chocolat. So technically, it means chocolate bread. So it's that pastry with chocolate in the middle. It's kind of a croissant, but not really a croissant. It would have to be that. So whenever I can find some here in Stockholm, I'm happy.
I like omelette au fromage. That's not the fika, Carney.
And the last question of the stream, one I personally really enjoy asking myself here, is what has been a tough thing for them to overcome lately in their development or their work on Generation Zero?
Just from here, Greg.
Yeah, I see that. What has been the biggest challenge or obstacle in making missions in narrative design? I would say usually it would be the time frame.
Yeah.
Because usually we always keep on working on features, and it's kind of offset compared to when it's released. So we finished working on this already, or like the main bulk of the work a couple of months ago. And usually the cycle is relatively short. It's not like super short and crazy. It's not what I'm saying, but we don't have like a year to work on this. So it's typically quick decisions. And it takes time to cast for actors and stuff, and plan the sessions, make sure the actors are there. So that's typically like the time is a big factor, big challenge.
I can imagine so much you want to do, so little time.
We didn't have much time to do any world design really linked to this, which was something that could have been like expanded more on like telling the story more specifically through the world, but we didn't have time for that. But I would say that the hardest thing is multiplayer. It's very hard to design missions that also work in multiplayer. Yeah, there are so many more bugs. Like you play it just yourself and everything works fine, and you do the reviews and it's only one person playing and everything works fine. And then as soon as you do multiplayer, you get like a ton of bugs, and they are super hard to test because you need like a lot of people to test them. And also just like placing the objectives or like having the pacing of the VO so that it works in multiplayer is super hard. It's like you can break it if you want to when you play multiplayer by like just triggering VO wrongly and stuff. And I feel a bit sad that if people do play multiplayer and do that, they won't really get as good a narrative experience from playing the missions. But it's so hard to take into account like that. Where will everyone be? You don't know.
Yeah, there's so many
Like when
edge
you, yeah,
cases and stuff where they placed. We wanted to teleport that NPC away, but maybe one of the players is tracking behind and can see it.
yeah, exactly. If you play only one single player, then you know where the one will be. So you could have like, yeah, when they walk through this corridor, then something falls and you hear a sound, and then it gets a good experience for the player who triggered that. But then someone else is somewhere else and they don't get that experience. They maybe are wondering like, why is someone talking now? I didn't do anything. Yeah.
And this shines a huge light on two very real problems that Greg and Amanda have to overcome to get the end results we see. For Greg, it's the time frame of narrative to feature to realization that is actually a very rapid pace to work with. Having time frames realistically cut maybe even in half, but still wanting to put out the best material possible. Pontus summarized it great. There's so much you want to do, but so little time. And with Amanda having to overcome the multifaceted design issues that come into multiplayer co-op missions, especially in an open world format.
And
Yeah, and as always, it's so nice to just see you players out there. It gives so much inspiration to me and to the team to just know that you're playing and finding everything that we put in there. So
seeing how you interpret it as well, and just getting to see our work being enjoyed by other people, that means so much to us. So
yeah, you are what makes
nice.
it real. So
Otherwise it's just us doing stuff. Now it's real.
yeah, that is very true actually.
Closing off the stream on a purely wholesome note, I really look forward to the next time we'll be able to hang out with Amanda and Greg, and just more developer live streams in general. The team's not huge, so we could realistically meet them all if they were willing to come and hang out. It doesn't always have to be spicy, but I think these streams overall are just good for the community. A good way to meet the talented individuals that make our game happen. And the reciprocated love in this community is just that genuine wholesomeness I personally love to see. So, my dudes, thank you for watching. We have tons to look forward to, from new missions to places to visit and things to do in Generation Zero, so I hope you're all stoked for what's coming up next. Cheers everyone, and I will catch you all in the next one. Until then, peace.